There it is.
Hi, I'm Jessica Pyska, and this is the Power of Community interview series that we've been doing all summer. Today, we're going to be talking about FireWise communities, which we have several in Lake County. And with me today, I have Ken Kelson from the Clear Lake Riviera. He's the FireWise coordinator for that HOA, and they're doing a lot of really amazing work this summer. And then I have Kathy McCarthy from the Cobb Area Council, and she's a FireWise coordinator for Jones Creek Crossing in her neighborhood. So I just like to give you both a moment to introduce yourself. Ken, would you like to start? Tell us a little bit about how long you've been in Lake County, what your background is, and how you started getting involved with FireWise.
I've been coming to Lake County for years and working my friend's walnut farm. I am a retired firefighter with 45 years experience. And this job, I just answered an ad in the newspaper, and it's turned out very, very well for the HOA and myself. And so one of the nice things about being a firefighter in this position is people will listen to my opinions, because I've kind of been there, done that for many years. But very happy.
Yes, and then we met years ago when you came and did a presentation at the Cobb Area Council when we were starting to get our first FireWise communities going. So it's been great to have this relationship building over the years. So Kathy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kathy McCarthy. I'm a teacher at the Riviera Elementary School there in the Riv. And I've been living in Cobb as a full-time resident since 2006 and have become very active in my local scene since 2015 after the Valley Fire. I've been just really grateful to meet such a wide range of go-getters who are doing everything they can to make our communities more safe.
And Kathy, you've been really instrumental in the rebuilding of your community and your neighborhood, which was pretty much completely wiped out by the fire. So it's very personal for you, I know.
It is.
So Ken, maybe you can answer this question best. What exactly does FireWise mean? And can you tell us a little bit about the program?
To me, it's about the safety of the overall community, and it's the education of the safety program. It's just trying to keep everybody safe, keep everybody on the same page, because we all know the fire conditions in California have changed radically over the last 10 years. And just trying to make everybody as fire safe as we can. It's a very good program. I'm very happy to be part of it.
And Kathy, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I just want to add in how it really brought different members of our neighborhood together. We're folks that didn't normally talk to each other or see each other very often. Now we're far more connected, and just like Ken said, we're all on the same page, trying to keep our neighborhood safe.
And FireWise is a national nonprofit with a website that you can all look at, firewise.org. And it's really a program that helps us figure out how to live in wildfire country. So it's how to harden your home, landscape, take into account the vegetation, but it's also coordinating with your neighbors and a phone tree and several meetings throughout the year, so that if you do have to evacuate, you know who's vulnerable, who has pets, different things like that. Really important to set that up before you're facing a fire. And Kathy, you kind of touched on this a little bit. An important component of FireWise is community collaboration. And so how has it been for you organizing your group? And Kathy, you want to start?
It's been pretty inspiring. I mean, first of all, I wanted to know who's going to want to be involved. And then it turns out, these like-minded individuals, my neighbors, are going to try to do everything they can to keep the neighborhood safe. And so we started off having a meeting once a month over at the Little Red Schoolhouse here in Cobb. And we met on Wednesday night. And then we did a pretty good job of being consistent and regular and meetings were short and to the point. We found that we had common goals, and those goals went into our report, our FireWise report. And then as the pandemic, hit and shelter in place, we continued our meetings electronically via Zoom. And that was just another way to connect with other people at a time when everyone was sheltering in place. And through that cold spring and very strange spring, we still communicated about those common goals of making the neighborhood safe and what can we do. And now that we've already met each other, who's going to need help at this time just to survive the shelter in place situation. So it was great just that we already had that network built in, and it turned out to apply to a brand new situation. Great.
Now, Ken, you are the FireWise coordinator for the homeowners organization. So it's a little bit of a different role for you. You want to talk about how it works for you and how you interface with your community?
Well, the HOA here is a lot of bedroom community, so people are commuting. So there's not a lot of social activity from the members, but the people that we do interface with are grateful for the work that I'm doing. And to tell you the truth, I don't know if the size of our organization could be done on a volunteer basis. I mean, I'm here 4 days a week, just working as hard as I can to answer emails and interface with people and explain to them, why we're doing and what we're doing. But the membership is very grateful for several reasons. One, we have saved numerous people their insurance policies, because we can tell them that we are a FireWise community, we are adhering to LE 100 standards, and I'm here basically almost full time, and my background, and they send that information to their insurance companies, and it has made a difference. So the FireWise community is having a very positive impact on people's safety and their pocketbooks. So it's a very good thing. But trying to get a committee together to do this is not an easy task.
So we're looking at two different size groups. If you're interested in starting a FireWise community, really you can just draw a circle around a few houses in your neighborhood. I can't remember the minimum, is it 8 houses? You don't even have to have all the houses in your circle. And you just say, this is going to be my FireWise neighborhood. And it can be small like Kathy's, it can be a large homeowners association. There's all kinds of room to do it the way that works for you and your community. Now, some people say it can seem like a lot of work the first year. And I think that might be a little bit true to get your certification, but can you talk about that first year? And then what's the maintenance going forward on that? And Kathy, you worked really hard to get your certification for your community. So you want to talk about that process a little bit?
Sure. We were very lucky to have other FireWise groups that had just formed, and they kind of held our hands through the whole thing. And so they said, this is what you got to do. You count your homes that are going to be in your FireWise group, and you kind of had to submit a map. You literally drew a circle on a map. And then we had to get inspected. The guy's name is escaping me right now. Anyway, so we had to get officially inspected, and this person made recommendations for what we might want to work on and make as our goals. And the biggest task, because really that just came down to like 2 or 3 people following through on phone calls, but the biggest task was collecting those homeowner sheets where people record the amount of hours and or money they spent making their property FireWise safe. And that really is what took a lot of effort, is to just wrangle people to say, hey, can you fill this piece of paper out? It'll take you 5 minutes. And then once we just got all these little pieces in order, it was pretty simple just to upload our application. Then we found out like a month later that we were approved. Yeah. All the pieces just fit together.
So I am in a different FireWise neighborhood, and the form looks like this. And really what you do is you just keep track of, you know, if anything that you do to protect your home or your neighborhood with vegetation management. And it's just a few hours of weed eating here or moving wood. You know, it's really not that difficult, and it's things that most people do anyway. So it's just keeping a record and then submitting it to your coordinator. Now with the HOA, how does that work for you, Ken, for getting people to do they fill out their form, or what's the process with the HOA?
With us, we're very fortunate that we have a list of people that have been vetted by the HOA and myself that do this kind of work, and we just track their hours. So we have got thousands of hours that are done by the people that are getting paid to do the work. So it's quite almost easy for us to meet our hour requirements. We're very fortunate in that aspect.
So after the first year, what are the annual requirements going forward? And sorry to cut you off, Kathy, if you wanted to add something else.
I was just going to say, I think it's only for like a neighborhood like myself, they request or require 1 hour of work per household. So if you had 10 households, you'd be required to submit documentation of 10 hours of work. If you have 200 households, 200 hours. And so maybe I spent an hour and he spent half an hour, but that person over there spent 3 hours. It kind of all adds up together. So it's pretty simple and attainable task.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, we have people working hundreds of hours, hundreds.
So what are the most important things that people can do to prepare their home or their landscaping, their yard, both short-term and long-term, to be really fire safe in their neighborhood? Oh, Ken, do you want to start with that? I know you're going around, and maybe this is a good time to talk about what you're doing in the Clear Lake Riviera with this work.
Well, one of the things that this is an older established area, and many years ago, Italian cypress and junipers were drought resistant, deer resistant, and very inexpensive. So everybody planted them. Unfortunately, they're very, very flammable. And now these things are just huge. There's just jungles of them. And so that's been one of the major concerns as a retired firefighter, is reducing the fuel load next to people's houses. And, you know, some people, it's like, this thing's been here for 20 years and it hasn't been a problem. It says, no, but as soon as it is a problem, it's a big problem. So that's one of the things we're working very hard, is to reduce the fuel load next to people's houses. And, you know, we try and do it nicely, but the stick behind the carrot is if you don't take care of this and it burns down your house, the insurance company is going to go over my records with a fine-tooth comb. And if they find out that we've identified this hazard and you have not corrected it, they may deny your claim. I hate to say that, but that's what we have to do.
Wow. That's really serious. Both Kathy and I lost our homes, and I can't even fathom how serious that is. And so that you really have the teeth with the HOA to do that. That's incredible. One of the things that we talk about with landscaping is the different zones around your home. And the zone 0 is 0 to 5 feet from your walls. And you should have no vegetation in zone 0. And then I know when you're going around, Ken, you are doing you're using the same questions and inspection form. This is called the LE100 form that CAL FIRE uses. And maybe you could speak to this a bit more. And then additionally, there's some more information on limbing up your trees and how far your vegetation should be back. And you mentioned earlier before we started recording that you give these away constantly. So do you want to talk a little bit about these forms, Ken?
Yes, they are a statewide standard. One of the nice things is some people think that we're picking on them. It's like, no, it's not us. It's a statewide standard set by CAL FIRE. And it's something that is consistent across the board. So there's no variances. There's no, well, this case we have to do this case we can do that. These are the standards. We're adhering to them. And it's for your safety why we're doing this. And so people, once they understand that everybody is doing it, they kind of get on board with it. But it's a very good, consistent, well drawn up plan with information behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to add, Kathy, to this?
No, that particular sheet is my go-to when I think about my landscaping in our new house. I mean, on the one hand, we had a completely clean slate. And so it was easy to say, okay, this is how we're going to do this. 5 feet out, there's the first plants. Or if I want something to soften up the front door, it's in a potted plant that I can easily move in a risky situation. Just reducing ladder fuels around, Ken could probably describe it better than I, but that thinking about if a low growing plant caught fire, how high would it burn? And so I want to eliminate the lowest limbs of the trees above it so it doesn't just climb up like a ladder. Again, I don't have that problem anymore. But really that sheet that Ken was using is what I think about all the time.
And at one of our Cobb Safe events, we had some master gardeners come from the South Lake Fire Safe Council, and they talked about how important it is to maintain your landscaping this time of year. So, if you have brush or like in my yard, I have big salvias and big lavenders. In the winter, you want to trim those down so that they don't have a lot of woody undergrowth. And you keep them trimmed and compact. And then also this time of year, you keep them irrigated. So they're not a potential flame hazard. So it's lots of things to think about that. If you do want to plant things close to your home, make sure they're really high moisture content plants, not flammable, not woody, low sap. There's a lot of really great landscaping tips with FireWise, and if you go to the FireWise Marin website, they have amazing examples if people want to think about FireWise landscaping going forward. Do you want to add anything else, Ken?
Yeah, I travel around with literally a briefcase full of information, and the plant, I've got a whole stack of plant information I give everybody. I mean, we're not that draconian, get rid of it or else. We try and give people as many options as we can. So yeah, I have a whole briefcase of stuff I hand out.
Excellent, excellent. So I just want to add one other component to building FireWise communities. We have several throughout the county now, but I work with the Risk Reduction Authority, which is a county committee, and we're trying to develop a goal to get many more FireWise communities throughout this county. It's really a way that we can fortify ourselves against wildfire. It's not like we can just say all of Lake County is going to be a FireWise community. It doesn't work that way. We have to do it in small groups, little neighborhoods, little chunks here and there. It's easier for a homeowners association to go through it because they typically have paid personnel and they have systems in place. So there's a lot of areas throughout our county that really benefit from having more FireWise neighborhoods. If you're interested in that, you can reach out to myself or Ken or Kathy, or you can go to firewise.org and get some more information there. Also, you can reach out to the Risk Reduction Authority at the county. So is there anything that you two would like to talk about on how families could prepare themselves for fire and future evacuations possibly this summer?
Yeah, I run into a lot of people that haven't fully expanded their to-go bag. One of the things that, I tell people, get a Xerox copy of all your documents, your driver's license, your registration, everything, and just get copies of them. And don't take stacks of $100 bills. I ran into this. I've got these $100 because I had to have cash, but nobody can break a $100 bill. Have a stack of 1s, 5s, and 10s. Have a box of Cliff Bars. That's 3,000 calories of Cliff Bar. That'll support you for one whole day. And gallons of water. And most insurance companies will give you a 30-day supply of your meds for like vacation meds, they call it. And so that's one of the things I've been encouraging when I talk to people person to person is like, how's your to-go bag? Do you have all this? Is it something you can grab and go with? So that's something that I've been helping people kind of think about a little bit more.
Excellent. What about you, Kathy? Do you have some tips for that?
Yes, I do. Go bag, yes. And then make a list. I love the idea of having that list of what will I do if I only have 5 minutes before it's time to leave? What will I do? What will I grab if I have 30 minutes? And then timing it out even further. Maybe we're on advisory evacuation for 24 hours. What am I going to gather together so that when the time comes, I'm ready to just head out the door? Also on that list, I include things of like people I might need to call. Especially here in Cobb, if I have family coming up to their cabin and they're not on the normal network of alerts, I have to make sure that they also know what's happening, if it's time to go or if it's time to think about getting ready to go. So include that list of people you might need to call. And what are those P's? I think there's 6 P's. People, pills, papers, pets, and photos. You might not be able to bring everything with you, but you can take a picture of what's in your house to remind you of what's there later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One thing that came up over and over during our rebuild and through the insurance process was having to prove the things that you had. And so if you have a minute or two, just take your phone and video each room real quickly right before you leave. That's one more little thing to just keep in the back of your mind on that 0 to 30 minute list. I've got a list too of a hierarchy of different things to do. And if you have several hours, or you're on a evacuation watch or advisory, start moving everything flammable away from your home, everything off your porches, everything away from your walls, bring it inside, put out buckets of water. Right now I'm putting in another little pond because if you're not home and someone comes by and they happen to see a little fire in your yard and you have a pond there or you have buckets of water, they can easily put it out before it becomes a big problem. So that's another thing to think about. And also ponds are very pretty. So it serves a couple different purposes. So now let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Kathy, you are part of the Cavern Cobb Area Volunteer Emergency Radio Network. And this is something that we have developed with the Cobb Area Council over the past several years to help people become even more prepared. And it kind of grew out of this desire to be so FireWise and fortified and really connected to community. So it really grew out of this experience. So you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. Luckily, we've got great people like Mel McMurrin in the neighborhood who is all about radio, and these other guys, Larry and another Ken, and they have just already been super involved as their hobby for a long time. And so they've gotten the rest of us going. The first thing is that we've developed this network of people that'll check in every week on a little walkie-talkie. And we go through a very, about a half-hour long check-in process. And those of us who are members of the group, we check in with our code names. I'm Boggs 1 for the Boggs group. And then after doing that for a couple of weeks, I got looped into the GMRS. I had to actually go online and register with the FCC, and I have a new code name, WRED 275, and so that's my call sign when I use my BTEC radio. And if you're not into that, any little family radio can be linked into our network. This is just a little guy. So we meet on channel 8 or repeater 15. I think that's right. And it's just another way to reach out to and meet some new people that I hadn't met before. And when little events happen, as they do, we just pick up our radio and say, hey, what do you see? What's going on? And we know what to do because we've been practicing every week. And then we have our long time hobbyists who really keep the ball rolling. It's fun. Anybody can do it. Oh, I wanted to say you could find out more about us by visiting cavern.mobi. That's MOBI. And
Cavern, CAVERN.
.mobi. And that's our website. You can even see the script that we use when we check in and how we've divided our neighborhoods up into different sections. And you too could be organizing your own neighborhood walkie-talkie network or volunteer emergency radio network.
So I have mine, and I am Hoberg's 2. And I call in I check in most Wednesdays. I've been having other calls Wednesday night, so I don't do it every Wednesday. And then during fire season, it's also Saturday afternoons at 1 o'clock or sometimes mornings.
1 o'clock.
But I want to just mention that last fall, when we had the Kincaid fire, which was very, very close to Cobb, and I could see it from my house, it was during a PSPS, so we did not have power. And the cell service went down. And we did not have broadband. And the only way to communicate with each other was through our radios. And I was able to stand on my back patio and give information to the group about how many engines were coming and what the fire was doing, since I actually had eyes on it. And then when the fire shifted towards Middletown, people that could keep an eye on it there really let the group know what's going on. And I just keep it on all the time. Sometimes it wakes me up in the middle of the night, but that's okay. Especially this time of year, we need that. We did have a house fire in really dangerous conditions last fall at 3 in the morning, right near where you are today, Kathy, at your parents' house. And so, there's a lot of people that are listening to the scanners anyway. And so if you get them involved with your radio group, then you know what's happening before you can look on social media and other platforms. And then if those are down, then you have this way to communicate with each other. So Ken, I just wanted to let you know, if anybody in the Clear Lake Riviera Homeowners Association was interested in starting a group like this, Kathy, and she mentioned Mel McMurrin, are available as resources. And there's a group in Hidden Valley that I believe wants to start a radio network. And so the more that we can get working together and the more active groups we can have throughout the county, really the safer we're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. One of the things I do want to mention that the HOA here is doing is there are fire sirens. We're trying to get them online. The county said you're good to go, and then the county went, oh, no, you're not, because we changed our political outlook on the sirens. So we're jumping through hoops again. They're there. We just have to get the county to agree to press the button. So we're working on it. But that's something that we're really looking forward to, alerting our community when there is a danger that they need to be aware of, especially at 3 a.m. I tried to get it done at 5 o'clock every night to blow them, but then everybody started drinking, so I figured that wasn't a good idea.
Well, that is a big thing. You have to know what to do when you hear the siren. That's why we are always telling people that doesn't mean you have to leave right now. That means you need to get information. You need to log in, tune in, find out what's going on.
Yes, and over the past several years, the South County had a fire siren, or I'm sorry, an alert siren system put in. And we did have to go through several hoops after they were installed to figure out who activates it. And it's the Sheriff's Department that goes through OES to activate the siren. So now what they've started just this summer is the first Monday of the month at 11 a.m., we will get a test, one turn of the siren. And so everyone can get used to hearing it. Oh my gosh, my radio is going on. Everyone can get used to hearing it, and then know the difference between a test, which is short, and then a real event. So we're not scared and frightened. And then also letting people know this is just one layer of communication. You know, if you hear the siren, it's time to look around, call people, check in with people, and get more information like Kathy mentioned. So is there anything that either of you would like to add about fire season, FireWise, how we are all preparing together? And just give you a minute before we wrap up. If there's something you want to add?
Basically, I'm very pleased with the response from the community in here, like Clear Lake Riviera Community Association. Most people have been spending literally thousands of dollars to bring their property into compliance. And I want to compliment and acknowledge all those people for their hard work and their participation in the program.
That's so important because you're not just doing it to protect your home, but you're doing it to protect your community and help your neighbors. And have that defensible space. So that really is important. And I'm really happy to hear that this summer the association is adding the developed lots and the homes into their inspection. Anything else, Kathy?
I would just say, you know, don't get too complacent. You know, in 2016, everyone said, oh, what are we worried about? Everything burnt already. Well, obviously it didn't. There's still plenty left, and we need to keep an eye on it and keep each other safe and do what we need to do to be prepared.
Right, and our county has made it a priority, and this is, you know, a top-down, bottom-up, grassroots, volunteer community. Like the more layers that we have and the more people engaged in protecting our community, the better, the more successful we will be. And really, we have to learn how to live in wildfire country. Mm-hmm. Wildfires are not going to go away. This is going to be part of our life for a long, long time, forever, probably. So all of these things that we can do, it might seem a little daunting at first, but once you're in the frame of mind and you have resources, like Ken has a lot of resources, mm-hmm. FireWise has a lot of resources, then, you know, you just embrace it and you just move along and you get into sort of a maintenance mode of these are the mm-hmm. things that I just do every year. And it's really not a huge amount of work to be thinking this way and acting this way and protecting each other. So I want to thank both of you for coming on today and being a part of this Power of Community interview. And if anybody out there wants to reach out to me, you can call me at 707-278-4007 or send me an email, Jessica Pyska for Supervisor D5@gmail. If you want to come on here and do an interview, or if you have some ideas, reach out to me. And you can check out my website. We have a YouTube channel that these are all on. And so my website is Jessica Pyska for Supervisor D5. You can see there. So anyway, have a great day, everyone. And I believe the next interview is going to be on community feeding, which is it's a big issue right now as well. So thanks, everybody, and have a great day.